bring this up here a little bit higher. We wanted to welcome you to Unity today. Thank you for having me as the chair, as well as Sarah wanted me to mention something as well as I wanted to. Thank you for everybody at Unity. You've done a lot for us, and we appreciate you. We wanted to, I guess this is also my first time. I wanted to mention that, so we may struggle, we may not. And it seems like, that's pretty much it for me. And I did want to have our vision statement. Is that our next thing? All right. A world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And then please say with me our mission statement. Advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path, spiritual living. Please say with me our values. Abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. We celebrate our children by saying together, unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures the unfolding spirituality. All right, so the daily word is dominion. I claim dominion and direct the course of my life. While I may not be able to control what happens in my life, I'm always free to determine how I will respond. Through my divine faculty of dominion, I decide what to think, what to say, and how to act. If a thought of fear or powerlessness arises, I remember all the wisdom and understanding and strength of God are within me. Whether I organizing my day or moving forward after making a life-altering decision, the principle of dominion is always mine to claim, knowing that this I move through life with quiet confidence. I am secure in myself and in the knowledge of my divine being. I claim dominion, and I feel my life expanded into a field of limitless possibilities and potential. I have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet. Salem 8-6. And next we have a song.
So before we start this morning, Jay said something really wonderful that I wanted to share with you. Sorry, Jay. And we were walking in, and he said, I was thinking about this song because the daily word is dominion. And sometimes the only control or dominion or power we feel we have is breathing. And that's what this song's all about. Got that pounding again, it's my heart in my chest. All the worry, the thinking, the fear and the stress. It's anxiety, it's my most constant companion. On my knees on the floor by my younger son's bed, praying out loud, please God, ease the pain in his head of his trauma, his nightmares, the demons he battles. Well, sometimes life hurts, that's the cards on the table, and you've got to cope just as well as you're able. And when you feel you can't take anymore, cradle your head in your hands and breathe, just breathe, and breathe, just breathe. In my mind there's a box, and it's big and it's wide, holding all my boys' fears, loss and longing inside. I I can't drop it, it's heavy, but I must keep going. They're too fragile right now, they can't carry it all, and it's now up to me to see that they don't fall. I must stand strong and show them that life's still worth living. At times life's a nightmare from which you can't wake, and you think there's not much more of this I can take. I'm just one person, but what I can do is cradle my head in my hands and breathe, just breathe, and breathe, just breathe. There's a light at the end of this journey, we know, because we're not alone on the path that we go. All of us striving to get to the light, and somehow it all turns out right. Got that pounding again, it's my heart in my chest. All the worry, the thinking, the fear and the stress. It's anxiety, but this time less power to rule me. Breath is life, it is love, it is solace and friend. When you think you can't make it, just breathe to the end of the day, my friends. Sometimes that's all you can manage. Well, at times life hurts, that's the cards on the table, and you've got to cope just as well as you're able. And when you feel you can't take anymore, cradle your head in your hands and breathe, just breathe, and breathe, just breathe, and breathe, just breathe, and breathe, just breathe.
Wow. That was very good. You reminded me just to breathe, because I don't know, I was not breathing. Yes. All right. So we'd like to introduce our speaker today, Trudy Iervolino. No. Okay. Well, I want to introduce this beautiful, smiley woman. She is so awesome. Trudy is an artist, a teacher, a life coach, and an inspirational speaker. She has also led arts and crafts tours internationally. She has been practicing yoga and meditation for over 30 years, and for the last 11 years, volunteering at prisons offering meditation programs. We know her and love her, so please welcome Trudy.
Gotta do this quietly with a new mic, right? Hello, hello. It's great to be here. Again, inspired by that beautiful music. As I come in, it's just, you're so lucky here to have such talented musicians. It's really such a blessing. And the message on that one, breathe. Let's all take a breath together, connect in our hearts. Breathe in the beginning of springtime coming. And breathe out that lovely energy into the world around you. Prana, the life force energy, the breath, the vital force. One more together. Breathing in and breathe out long, connecting in our hearts through the breath. Thank you. Well, what a title, the Fillmores. That's wow, right? It was so wonderful when I was invited to do this talk, and I think who was it? I forget who invited me, but they said, yeah, do a talk on the Fillmores. And I said, well, what about? Do you want me to read a book? Do you want me to? And it was Cindy. And she said, anything you want. And it was so delightful for me because, we're so steeped in the different teachings of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore here. And the only thing I could think of was, wow, what wondrous mystery is about to unfold for me. And I really felt that because I thought with such a wide open gate, it was just really a mystery. And I kind of waited with it to see, where I was going to be pulled or drawn to. And I have that mystery unfolding in my talk today. So it really was such a delight to do this. The first time I heard Charles Fillmore's voice was in the 80s, in the very early 80s, on a tape that I had acquired, I think, at a thrift store, actually. And I listened to it over and over, and I was just fascinated by it. It really soothed me at a difficult time in my life, and it was really giving me hope and inspiration. Now, mind you, I never made the connection that who he was just Charles Fillmore on this little white cassette tape I had, I didn't know about unity or any of that, but I liked listening to it. At that time in my life, I was deeply influenced and steeped in the readings of theosophy, and a lot of the transcendentalists were my daily companions as far as my bookshelves went. And I was tickled to find out through, in the course of writing this talk, that the Fillmores also had those same influences. So that was kind of neat to find that out. And it was many years later, it was actually, I guess, at the end of the 80s, I think it was around 1989 or 1990, that I found out what unity was. And ironically, it came from the mouth of the woman who also introduced me to the spiritual yogic path that I've been on. So simultaneously, these two paths came to me. And she strongly encouraged me to go to the Unity in San Francisco at that time to make peace with my Catholic upbringing. I had a lot of guilt and shame and anger around certain aspects of those teachings that I was, let's say those teachings. And but at the same time, I always felt a very deep connection to Christ's teachings, But I was angry. I was angry with where that path had led me, and I felt very judged. And she flat out told me, she said, go to Unity. It'll be good for you to make peace. They teach Christ consciousness, and she knew that I was also doing yoga, as in hatha yoga, and she said, and they do meditation there. So I followed her advice and went to a local ashram in Oakland, and I also went to the Unity Church in San Francisco. And I did make peace, and it was very, very needed. It was a healing of my heart. I felt like I had become reacquainted with everything I loved about the Christian teachings, and it was very healing for me. And I loved Unity. It was a fun group. I liked the music. I liked everything. So, in thinking back on how I came into Unity, this piece that was sort of bubbling under the surface of my consciousness that I guess I've always wondered or thought about surfaced up once again. And I thought, geez, there's so many teachings in Unity that seem to so similar, such parallels to the Eastern religious and philosophy that I've been studying for, 30-some years now. And I thought, I wonder if the Fillmores were influenced by that, And, some of you are laughing because, maybe it was common knowledge, but I honestly didn't know, So I thought, oh, well, maybe that's what I should write about. I should do a little digging. And aha, I found stuff. Let's see. Well, the first thing I found was from a Unity minister who's also an archivist. His name was Reverend Eric Page. And he said that there was 3 sources of evidence that the Fillmores were influenced by Eastern philosophy and religion. And he said the first one was that the inventory of, they had I don't know if it was a pamphlet or a magazine of some sort. It's called Modern Thought. And the book inventory, the books that were sold in this pamphlet, a lot of them were Eastern religious books and philosophies. So that was the first thing he found. And the second thing that he found was that in the Fillmores library itself, their personal library, there was a great deal of philosophical and religious books from India, from which he was getting a lot of his source material. And the third thing, now mind you, in this article that I was reading, he listed all the people. I didn't know them, so I didn't bring all those names here. I didn't think it was relevant, but he just said that the Fillmores teachers, and he had a long list of them, were all Americans, all who shared a fascination with Eastern philosophy. And so through his understanding, he said there was no doubt in his mind that they were strongly influenced by Eastern religion. So I was like, yes, I can write about this. This will be my talk today, so there you go. And then I dug a little further, and I found a wonderful paper by Dr. Larry Morris, called Charles Fillmore and the Influence of Eastern Philosophy and Religion. Imagine that. He beat me to it. It was a wonderful paper. It wasn't really long. I think it might have been like 6 pages or something. He made it easy for me because he had such wonderful quotes from the Fillmores in there. So I don't think he'd mind that I pulled some of those quotes of Charles Fillmore out of his papers to use today. But I did also want to quote him. Near the beginning of his paper, he said, early in Fillmore's writing, reference to the validity of Eastern religious thought and teachings and their relevance for spiritual growth in the West was evident. Indeed, in the editorial of the 2nd issue of Modern Thought, Fillmore affirms the superiority of Eastern teachings and the need for assimilation by the West. And then this is the quote from Charles Fillmore. The East is a storehouse of a spiritual life, much of which we do not and cannot in our present material thought environment, except for within a limited degree, comprehend. He goes on to say, the Christian religion has answered the needs up to the present age, but the evolution of spirit has created a demand for a religion of a broader scope. So we may turn to the lore of India for the lack of a better system nearer to home. And that was his quote from Modern Thought on May 1889, page 8. And that was his editorial issue. So obviously a very, very, adamant connection in his early writings about Eastern thought. This, probably many of you have heard, it's kind of a famous quote of Myrtle Fillmore's. Let's see. She said, if I could observe the mind and its reality, it would show me the seeds you sow and the thoughts you think. And I can foretell the manner of your harvest, for it is in the same place of our mind world as it is in the soil world. I just thought that was a wonderful quote about the, obviously the mind and the world, creating the world from outpicturing of our mind. That's so at the core of the teachings of the Fillmores. And I'll be referring back to that in a moment. I would like to compare it, though, just offhand very quickly to the text. It's actually the third longest book in the world. It's called the Yoga Vasishta. And this text is specifically about the direct observation of the mind. And its purpose is to eliminate the psychological conditioning. I'm going to need that up a little higher just so I can't read now. Sorry. The psychological conditioning of, there we go. ... Well, I'm going to go off script here. But it's about the psychological conditioning of the mind in the sense of breaking free of the notion of an individual soul that's separate from all that is. And it's a very, very long text, and it's full of allegories, stories, over and over again, sort of to reprogram the mind into understanding how everything is an outpicturing of our mind. With the hope, ultimately, that once you get this nugget, that you're going to want to have the next level of understanding with it of the unity of all that is, and that there is no separation between the individual soul, the jiva, and the entire world as we know it, as we see it. So if you think about all this mind and reality back and forth with the Fillmores, and these ancient, ancient teachings that are dedicated exactly to that, it's a beautiful parallel. It's a really beautiful parallel. Jamie Freeman was another who I looked to from the book. It was called Answer to Questions About Unity. In this, he stated that the Fillmores have basically two tenets. One, God is good. And two, God is available. And in fact, God is you. Tat twam asi, I am that. Charles Fillmore said that God is not a person who has set creation into motion and gone away and left it to turn down like a clock. God is spirit, infinite mind, the eminent force and intelligence everywhere, the manifestation through all of nature. God is a silent voice that speaks into visualizing all the life that is. It's beautiful. Again, drawing a parallel to Kashmir Shaivism, for example, which the basic principles are that all life is pulsating with one consciousness. And that consciousness is God, animate and inanimate. Many of you have heard the term Shakti, right? Shiva and Shakti. Shakti represents the dynamic force that moves throughout everything in the universe. Sat Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, and bliss. Once again, in the yogic teachings, that which the world is made of, that which we all are made of. In the introduction to the text I said previously, the Yoga Vasishta, the one by Swami Vivekananda, he has a blessing that says, salutations to that reality in which all elements, inanimate and animate, being shine, as if they had a separate and independent existence, and in which they exist and go back into that existence from which they merge. So again, that essence, going back to those words of the Fillmores, of, it's not a God up there just creating and saying, catch you later, right? Everywhere, all the time. I didn't write it as a quote, but through my readings for this talk, one of the things that both the Fillmores supposedly regularly were saying is that, God cannot be contained. You don't have to be in this room to have the experience of God. God is everywhere, over and over as part of their teachings. So going back to the part of where the simple tenets of, in fact, God is you. The I am. I always perk up when I see that in the Unity teachings because I just love that. Soham. That's I am. It's a mantra in Sanskrit. Soham. It means I am. Charles Fillmore says that the I am is not in itself power, nor wisdom, nor love. It is simply the vehicle to which these factors harness themselves. Isn't that beautiful? The vehicle to which these factors harness themselves. So remember how I started the talk and I said that what mystery would unfold? Well, here it comes. Other than just that there was a connection, right? Well, it turns out a couple weeks ago, I don't know how long ago, maybe it's a month now, but a while back, I had been doing a course on the Yoga Vasishta, and one of the practices that we did was the awareness of I am, the Soham. And it was a meditation practice where we visualized that awareness in the crown chakra, going into a deep space of meditation. I had no expectations for this. I was just following the directions, really, And I had an amazing experience that I will cherish for the rest of my breaths on this planet. I had an experience inside in a state of meditation where I saw, it felt like it was up here. I had tingles going up and down my spine. And then there was an explosion of light. And this light was kind of like two walls. And it was a lot of lights on each side. And then they crashed, and there was some kind of sound associated with it. And they merged into this brilliant light that was, there was no light on earth that I could compare this light to. It was so bright and so beautiful, and I just stayed in that reverence of this light. It was so profound. And as some of you know, I write poetry about my spiritual experiences and my sadhana, my spiritual path. And trying to capture this in the poem, all I could say was that it was brighter than the sun. Because I didn't have the words. Maybe I was being lazy, I don't know, but I didn't have the words for this divine light. It was just nothing like any light I've ever seen. Yet it was inside me, and I was becoming a part of it. And the whole time, there was, literally, I heard my voice saying, I am. And I am awareness. It was hearing my own voice as though I was talking while this light was happening, right? So it was a profound, profound spiritual experience for me. I wrote it into a poem, and used, as I said, I'm making reference once again to that line, the description in the poem, where I said brighter than the sun, these lights, right? I come upon a quote from Charles Fillmore. Here it is, the mystery unfolds. The delight, the synchronicity. He's talking about, again, the need for the West to integrate Eastern philosophy and practices. Your body, this is from Charles Fillmore, on his Talks on Truth, page 112. Your body shall become so illuminated I'm sorry, I can't read my writing. I'm sorry. Okay, your body shall become so illuminated by the pathways in your mind that the light streaming forth will be brighter than that of the sun. This is not a fanciful sketch, he says, but a statement of facts based upon spiritual dynamics of which the body is the dynamo. Isn't that amazing? Because of my bad handwriting, that's not an exact quote, but there's one word, I don't know if it was. But I was blown away. I mean, I just really felt like that was a gift from God, you know, to acknowledge my spiritual experience and to acknowledge both paths and the parallels and synchronicities that have blessed me so much in my life. Well, speaking of the crown chakra, where I was meditating, again, in the paper I referenced earlier, it was written that in his later works, Fillmore seems to have inculcated the Eastern influence, that he barely even mentions them, rarely, if at all, in his later works. However, in his last and perhaps greatest work, called The 12 Powers of Man, which has aptly been referred to as the Book of Christian Yoga, Fillmore outlines a highly complex system of spiritual centers in the body that directly parallels the chakra system of yoga. So again, I just felt like, wow, that was the 12th, crown chakra. It's being referred to in these papers. Synchronicity, synchronicity. So I will end today with one last quote from Charles Fillmore. We are all of one God, and it matters not from which source we get our religion. If it is in that spirit of love and caring which pervades the soul of all who find the place of peace. So thank you. It was really fun doing this talk.
Thank you, Trudy. I now invite you to begin to prepare yourself for reflective personal prayer and guided musical meditation, after which I ask that you remain in essential silence during the music. If you choose to, you can close your eyes. Feel the weight of your body as it relaxes into your chair as you let go of today's anxieties. Feel your feet on the solid earth. as you let go of tomorrow's worries. Become aware of your breathing. As you breathe in life and breathe out love. Breathe in life and breathe out love. As you become centered, focus your attention on your beautiful heart, your beautiful Christ self. Become filled with gratitude and allow into yourself that which fills you with peace and love. So we begin. Now I invite you to gently return to this place. Open your eyes in the spirit of peace, gratitude, and light.
Okay. We are done with the meditation. I'm just looking at everybody relaxed, calm, peaceful. Wanted to keep that as long as possible. So I'd like to, it's time for, to please say with me our affirmation of prosperity. The unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of spirit and the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. Please say with me our celebration of giving and receiving. Divine love in and through me multiplies and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love and right God as my source. All right. We offer these gifts as symbols of the endless blessing bestowed upon us all. These offerings radiant with the awesome lights and love with us, and they spread the light and love throughout all creation. And now it's the announcements. Many thanks to those of you who donated to the Homeless Hygiene Drive, and thanks to SSAT for bringing them our donations. We have, and a lot of people are doing this, The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. A book study group begins Sunday, March 19th at 11:15 a.m. And this remarkable New York Times bestseller, author, and spiritual guide, Michael Singer, explores the fundamental question, who are we? Written in an engaging, uncomplicated voice, this book will open readers up to the radical, powerful experience of simply being themselves. Jay Kyle, right? And Bedford Hines will lead this group that you may join at any time. We will read and discuss the work together, covering about one chapter per week, expected to last about 4 to 5 months. The book may be ordered from your favorite book outlet for about $15. Limited books are available for purchases in class. And next we have how can unity support our wider community? An event you want to promote? Know an organization that needs volunteering? Have an idea for the next SSAT event? Talk to Louise and Bedford. Help put our values into action. And I'll say that the baby shower was a wonderful event here, so bring it here. We also have a grown-up coloring party. Woo! All right. Saturday, March 18th, at 10:30 a.m. Come join Karen, Sophie for a time to relieve stress and color really fast and have fun with friends. Coloring pages, colored pencils, and light snacks will be provided. That does sound like a adult child type thing. It's awesome. Please bring your own beverage. Sign up with the Connect and Serve table. The prayer group is asking for prayer requests. Requests can be submitted 2 ways: written and placed in the prayer box by the Connect and Serve table, right back there, and by emailing unity@unityofappleton.org. Please submit first names only. Oh.
The prayer group will be meeting again today for all those that are interested upstairs in the boardroom immediately after the conclusion here. So all those that have shown an interest in learning about affirmative prayer and using it for our behalf and behalf of the community, please come.
All right. The next thing, please stand and say with me our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God unfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Enjoy.
Jesus was a man who taught us many long years ago. Showed us how to live, how to love, and to read. Walked across the raging sea. He did, yes, he owned his divinity. Singing joy to the world. All the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me.
Scotia.
It's fun how we unitize those songs. We have so much fun doing that. Okay, so folks, as most of you know, and I think all the faces here are familiar, so this is the